on your journey, the path you must take. Though hate may surround you, it's not your fate to forsake. Co-creating your destiny in the dance of time. The guiding light within you ignites the sublime. It is the light, the guiding light from the heart and soul. Don't lose control. Let it be the light shining bright, unlocking potential beyond belief, taking flight. In the depths of your being, the truth resides. Embrace your power, let your spirit rise. With every step forward, you transcend the expanded conscious community we commend. Through trials and triumphs, your soul evolves in the symphony of life, where every note resolves. Listen to the whispers of your inner voice. In unity and love, let your heart rejoice. It is the light, the guiding light from the heart and soul. Don't lose control. Let it be the light shining bright, unlocking potential beyond belief, taking flight. It is the light, the guiding light from the heart and soul. Don't lose control. Let it be the light shining bright, unlocking potential beyond belief, taking flight. As we gather together in this sacred space, embracing transformation with grace. Life coach Malachi leads the way in unlocking potential day by day. One faith, embracing transformation with grace. Life coach Malachi leads the way in unlocking potential day by day.
Hey, 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 what's up? Make sure you like and share this post. We're going live. Yes, y'all. It's beautiful to be here. Beautiful to be here. Woo, here we are. Thank you so much for being here with me and on this Thursday evening. And if you're watching it in replay, it's even better. So we're here. I'm here. And I'm grateful for this moment in time. And there's something real quick that I would like to cover. If you are watching this in replay, one thing I want you to do, and I want everyone to know something here, and that is there is a percentage of people that watch this stream and they don't necessarily follow the stream. And what I mean by follow, I'm talking about subscribing on YouTube. And I thought I had it pulled up here, which they changed some things around. I thought I could put it as an overlay, but I guess I really can't use the JPEG anymore. Let me see what the statistic says. I have it on my phone. It says that 42% of the people that watch this are not subscribed. 42% of you are not subscribed. So if you could do me a favor, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to this channel on YouTube. I appreciate it. How's everyone doing this evening? I know people will start trickling in as they see that this is live. So, yeah, give a couple quick shout outs here on wrong track. Let's roll with this track here. And I know I've seen a few people in the room here. All right, thank you so much, Miss Lynn. You're wonderful. You're amazing. One day, I'm going to meet you. Holly, thank you for tuning in. Of course, Miss Tia, you're a beautiful soul. Thank you for all that you do. And I look forward to continue to work with you. Hello, Phyllis. You're awesome. Thank you. We know that you are tapped in, tuned in, and who knows what else you're doing. Oh, let's see here. Miss Wanda. Yes, yes. And Miss Gwen. Mother Gwen is here with her brother there in the picture. All righty, y'all. Yes, I want to make sure that everyone knows that we are live. Make sure my Patreon, everybody in Patreon knows we're live. Woo! How many of y'all, especially in this season, let me see, how many of y'all are it's just a busy time? I mean, a lot of times we could be busy, but sometimes, during this season, we could really, it could really turn up on us where we become kind of busy. Anybody out there that can get busy? Boy, I know that in this season that I can really get busy, just with life. And then sometimes we can it's not that we busy, we just have so much going on. We have to balance our life. Anybody out there that you have to balance your life? You have to balance what's going on in life. Yes, that's the name of the game. There's one thing that happened, and I want you guys to understand and know, and it's not something major, but we all can go through awakenings, especially if we are willing to connect to the journey. We're willing to connect to the journey and understand that in our journey, what we may be experiencing, we're experiencing life and things in life. And one thing I'll tell you is that no matter what's going on around you, I think we could be really hyper focused on things today, especially for those who are committed to growth work, spiritual, physical, and mental, making a difference in your life, possibly making a difference in other people's lives. as you do that, you could become more aware of things around you, aware of your own life, aware of things going on in the world. And it can be heavy at times when you experience life. Anybody witness that? It could be heavy. And I think some of us have gifts and callings to be who we are, where we are at this moment in time. I think all of us have these, but some of us can embrace the true self. We can embrace the divine self. Sometimes we have to take a moment to breathe through it and embrace our true self. Right? I always tell us to take a deep breath. Right? Take a deep breath. I'm not sure if you've seen it or if you just tapped in to this talk. Sometime I'm pretty sure people can see what I have pushed or promoted. But this is something that occurred to me earlier during this week. I had planned on having a guest. I didn't have contact. And plus I knew he was dealing with things, but I'll make sure, give it a little bit more time, make sure that I have him for next week. But there's something that I think that is highly, highly, highly important. I was watching a video, which I will post in Patreon. And that video had some really important things, I believe, in it. And one of those things it talked about was, it's really talking about where we have spirituality, we have everything. Even if you go back to church and temples and the mystics and the mystical and the mystery behind the unknown. But of course, then we understand that we have science and what science says and does. And it, in its own right, it can have its own dogmas. But now we're having some merge take place. Some things are coming together. And I really was wrapped in this particular video. And I copied some of the video. But you know how people are... Wow. I don't know why that just started. You know how people are worried about AI and worried about technology and worried about things like that? Y'all familiar with that? And for good reason. There's quantifiable reasons why people can be worried about something like that. And it's not the technology that you really would need to worry about. It's the people behind the technology and their intentions with the technology. We've already lived for many, many years with propaganda. We've lived for many years with the manipulation of systems. But now we're becoming more aware that we are being drastically manipulated in various different ways. And it can hurt people and individuals. And so as we look to deconstruct our beliefs with trying to understand how we got here. Some people are at a fundamental level of deconstructing in that they want to still make sense of all the scriptures, and they still want to make sense of the Bible and make the Bible work. They want Christianity to work in some kind of way. And so they're deconstructing, but yet though they're maintaining and managing as much as they can the story. That's fine. It's totally fine. But tonight we want to understand why we want to learn how to why we would want to shift our reality completely. In other words, when I say shift your reality, I'm really just saying to bring your reality into deep awareness and how that reality has been created through a programming of a people. Within some of those programming, you may hear a word like justice or injustice. You may hear a word of white supremacy. Most people think that's talking about an individual's race, and it's not. You might hear terms like New Age and what that may mean. And when we start not just deconstructing, but reconstructing our consciousness, in other words, or reconstructing our understanding of consciousness, right? It's easier just to call someone New Age than it is to not have a word. So real quick, let's just settle in for a minute. Okay? Just settle in. I'm not sure if you're comfortable and you got your nice drink or got you some popcorn. 21% of you watch this from your television. 9% watch it from an iPad. Big chunk of people will watch it from their phone and laptop. So however you are sitting back, let's just connect right now, to ourselves, because tonight we're going to go somewhere. A lot of folks talk about and around, but we don't actually deal with it. Bishop Carlton Pearson, when you think about him, of course, there's a group of people that understand his inclusivity and how that works. But the big picture of it was that they threw him out essentially because he said hell might be empty. But I'm here to tell you, and I want to let you know, as a person from the inside and a person that was close to him, that was able to take in what I feel and how I work and operate and create and be creative. And what I've discovered is that he didn't get pushed out necessarily because of that. That's kind of the carrot. But he got pushed out because he questioned the entire system that depended upon fear to keep people in line. And so whether you loved him or not, disagree with him, or didn't understand him, he really cracked something open in a community. And really, I say a community, I'm talking about a community of people that were in a system. Because if you look at the history, there was Unitarians, and there has been the Theosophy Society, and even the African American Spiritual Church movement. So there was things out there that were already sort of aligned with what he already said, but he was a person that cracked the system open. Would y'all agree? He busted this thing open where he began to question whether something is true. He began to question if you have to do with what these people said, which would be salvation. Like, do you have to do that, or is this related to or tied to the church itself, or the ideology or the idea behind the church denomination? Because there's other denominations that don't do that. They like to feel special, though, and say, oh, this is how it is. But regardless, the word that I'm pretty sure you heard is deconstructing. So people are out here deconstructing, trying to figure out what they believe and, what they don't believe, and why do they believe it? Right? And how do those beliefs add to or subtract to their life? That's when you really get serious. But listen, if all you're doing is questioning religion, you stopped from being in the house and getting out the box. And if you're just questioning religion, you just stopped at the porch. Because you're wanting to shift, because the whole house is shifting. There's a paradigm that is taking place, or that can take place. And what is pushing this forward, a lot of this is being pushed forward through the understanding of what technology, like artificial intelligence, which is basically a computerized intelligence that is being able to be used by us to discover and to ask questions and to formulate answers from a system that's created by other people. And it's created even by us, because we're asking it questions, and it's getting more information. It's getting more depth in information, but it is not necessarily becoming a creative machine, because it still takes a human being to justify whether something feels creative. It still takes a human being to read the information, to qualify the information, because if you're not careful, there's a thing called sycophancy or psychophancy. And it is the way AI is programmed to work in and to talk back in your favor, or to talk back and to agree with you, because ultimately the programmers want you to be engaged. The owners of these systems want you to actually listen and to believe that these things are people. Just like we treat corporations. We treat corporations like they're people. But tonight I'm going to talk about why the things are shifting, and we need to shift, and we need to move even beyond deconstructing Christianity, hard and fast. But as I jump in this, let me know in the comments, are you in a season where beliefs feel like they are breaking open? Absolutely. Yes. Right? Are you in a season where you feel like something is shifting? See, there's a misunderstanding of deconstruction. Okay? So let me just say this. I'm not talking about running off doing ayahuasca in the jungle. I'm not sick. I'm not talking about Christianity just itself and deconstructing that. I'm talking about overall belief. So you got people that will go and be spiritualists, which I think is fine. But I want to look at this thing from a 30,000 foot broad view. Going to go do your ayahuascas, buy your crystals, doing your yoga. And a lot of those things people want and desire to be more spiritual. And I'm not saying that all those things or any of those things are bad in the sense of what you're doing in order to deprogram, if you will, or recognize the program, be aware of the program. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you'll call it fate. Mr. Carl Jung. So what I'm talking about is the architecture of your mind, how it was built, who built it, and who benefits if you stay where you are. See, when you think about us, especially us Black folk, where the church just wasn't a belief system, but it was a part, and it came from a survival. It came from an identity, and it came from community, and we have our therapy, and we had the food, being able to have food, and we being able to have like family and a connection. It was everything. When we have our space, we were resorted down to our spaces. The reason why people didn't, and why people were so hurt when Bishop Carlton Pearson began to want to change the way he believed. People were hurt because they knew after all these years of believing in hell and believing in salvation and having fear run your life, and it all fits and it all works and it all feels good in the conscious mind, but not in the subconscious mind. In the grand scheme of things, it is a system that could be easily used to manipulate. And if you think about while people were fighting over doctrine, I believe something else over the course of the last 20 years, because over the last 100 years, most of what we see today has become, from cars to planes to computers to in this age. And while we fight over doctrine, all the technology that was out there is studying us. Technology was the direct effect, and has been the direct effect, of the government systems being used. The government systems being used with technology, guiding or directing or capturing our lives, capturing where we are. The benefits, right, that we all can possibly get if we understand them, versus the opposing ownership and the power players that control the narrative. All this technology is studying us, not spiritually, but scientifically, psychologically, behaviorally. And you know what? All of us church folk and all of us folk, even outside of that space, don't even realize the shift that has already happened today. Earlier, I talked about psychophancy. Have you ever heard of psychophancy? There's another word that I want you to be aware of, and that is technofeudalism. I know, probably haven't heard of these, but I'm showing you how the intertwined of what's going on in the technology space, consciousness, spirituality, control, and the reason why you want to understand that you're deconstructing of your belief in a book is the front porch of actually coming out of the house with the world and the reality of everything outside of that. Just get off that porch is vast, it's the program that is programming the program. See, earlier I was talking and I told you about these terms, but these are terms that came from the past, as in speaking on the future, and now is that future. When we think of, I mentioned white supremacy, and that's intertwining a political term. I want to break that down for you a little bit further for those who may come across this and may feel some kind of way about what that actually means or what is it tied to. The ideology and the thought process and the person that gets to create the narrative of ideas and what people are to believe. No different than when we have our Bible and scripture and fundamentalism and Christian nationalism, which is basically the merger of saying, here's my version of Jesus and my version of the Bible, and my version's right. And it is directly connected to the American people, and it's directly connected to American people that we want to consider, right, the patriots, the people that are not necessarily the original people, but the people that have had most of the power, and they so happen to have a certain hue or complexion that has brought us to this moment and to this point. And these conversations can be kind of uncomfortable for many of people because of the fact that these conversations can challenge your programming. And when I say challenge your programming, is really challenging for you to be able to process mentally, psychologically, without having the psychological term called cognitive dissonance when we start dealing with opposing thoughts. When we start dealing with the realities in which we live. And I heard someone earlier talk about, and I just kind of analyze and feel, and one pastor's talking about the words of Charlie Kirk and how he felt and how he was bringing it into context, because people say you're bringing it out of context. And he's like, so tell me what you mean, and what does it mean when you say it's out of context? if someone says these words and it offends and it hurts a group of people that have been hurt over time in history. And you get to be in your ideology, in your mind, and you get to remain in this space and not necessarily have to bend your reality to accept that someone else has another reality that they're living in, because you get to create your reality. And you get to create what you believe about another person's reality. And you get to create the reason why you believe that their reality is what their reality is. Elon Musk posted recently that white guilt is no longer accepted by Gen Z because he has a few people that have put on MAGA hats. And no one wants white people to feel guilty. Not at all. Please do not believe or accept that someone wants white people to feel guilty when we have the conversation about African Americans or Native Americans, or when we have the conversations about immigrations, when we have the conversations about human people in life. When someone actually wants to demonize a group of people and they don't get to actually voice up and their feelings and their opinion, and we get stereotyped into one group, and one person represents all the people, but realizing that, understanding that when we think about things like white supremacy is the fact that you have most of the power and always have had the power, and you continue to have the power, and you want to remain to have the power. So you will use propaganda, you will use any and everything that you can use because of fear that you want to push out there, because you don't want anyone else to have any level of power. Not that we want to remove you from power, but we are just trying to have seats at the table. And this is not related to race. This is related to the people. We're talking about people having some level of connection to have the ability to help make the decisions in how we live and how we be and how we move. So when we think about this supremacy, you can be black and have this ideology. We almost need to come up with a new word beyond white supremacy and make it more of a it's a classism, but the word white supremacy derives from the fact that the way we live our lives and the way we move it and the way we enter into spaces, you're so comfortable with the fact that this is where we have arrived to after the last 400 years. But really, if we really want to get down to the nitty gritty, just in the last 60 years in America and how much change, yes, that has occurred. But when we start talking about more change, when we start breaking it down and start thinking about, we'd start talking about our belief and our realities and our deconstructing of what is and what isn't, and how did we get to this point? See, white supremacy did to the body, and the algorithms are doing to the mind. This ideology and stuff, that is what people believe, and they might say something that is not necessarily true, or they may skew the data. I'm sorry, if you come out and you say that Miss Martin Luther King was a horrible person, and you look at the FBI files, and the FBI files are in the 1960s and 50s and 60s are trying to come against him, and you, Charlie Kirk, reads these files and it says that Martin Luther King was all these. Yes, you want to demonize. Of course you want to demonize that a person that's coming with some level of civil rights a level of moving away from Jim Crow laws, but you want to dance around and make it actually try to make this make sense to a given people, because that ideology is locked into the body, while these algorithms as in the programming of who we are happens in the mind. See, technology has moved into neuropsychology of behavioral prediction and identity shaping. This is not a conspiracy. This is an industry. You better deconstruct your reality versus thinking about deconstructing and trying to make Christianity better for yourself, so you can still have your churches and have your stuff. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but I'm here to tell you, you're stopping at the porch. They're not trying to control thought anymore. They've built systems that do control of the perception. They don't have to control your thought. The systems are actually that are in play. And while the church is warning you about end times, Silicon Valley is promising you singularity. It's the same sales pitch. It's just a different message. Peter Thiel from PayPal, who has a lot to do with what's going on. He's behind JD Vance and behind a lot of all these other people, but PayPal and Palantir and using AI systems. But he's doing talks on end times. He's doing talks on the last days. And you know why? They're saying he's a Christian, but you got to understand, these people are called engineers. Engineers are people that are able to use mathematics, forms of science, and use data to extrapolate data and make decisions on how you walk, how you move, how you believe. And if we can say, if I talk about end times and I talk about the Antichrist, that's what he's talking about. If I talk about the Antichrist, I can actually then get a lot of people to allow me to be the savior of who we are, as in I'm the person that's going to create the system that stops the Antichrist, playing to people's weaknesses. The church is basically saying, we need to save your soul. While the technology is saying, we need to save your mind and we need to save us. But I'm here to tell you that they're assuming that we are broken and that we don't, and they know that we don't know that who we really are, who you really are, how powerful you really are. You are so powerful, but we get locked up into our emotions. We get locked up into our trauma. We get locked up into all these falsehoods. You could begin to check your behaviors at the door, and you can begin to check a lot of your life at the door, and you could begin to say, you know what? I want and I am awakened. And whenever I feel that doubt, I'm going to say, I am awakened. I am awakening. This world that you live in You hear all day long that we're running out of food, we're running out of resources, we're running out of everything. Healthcare. We're not running out of anything. Healthcare, as we're fighting, whether we have the ACA, which they called Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, and what to do. One party says we don't need this because it is subsidizing, right, a group of individual people, right? And some of the arguments are that you're using tax dollars to subsidize. And as we're going back and forth and all this, no one is questioning the profits of the insurance companies, which is Wall Street. Because if you have a universal payer system, you don't have to worry about an individual wanting to profit off of your illnesses. It's one thing to have a doctor that can actually help you. Because when doctors file through insurance that you are forced to have, a doctor, I can look it up, I'm not going to right now, but a doctor can bill for $20. Let's say it's really $20,000, right? A doctor can bill for $20,000 to the insurance, and the insurance gets to come back and say, well, we looked at it and we owe you $1 million from all of the cases that you have worked on, but we're going to settle with you and we're going to give you $100,000, right? So that $20,000 that we owe you, we're going to give you $15,000. How do they get to control what they pay the doctors? Which the doctors understand that the insurances get to control that. So therefore the doctors shoot their rates up so that they can actually get paid either more or whatever they feel that they should be paid at that given rate. There's given rates, and a lot of things are super expensive when you go to deal with healthcare. We could fix this real simple. But it really comes down to what we believe. Why do we believe that? We're not running out of anything. It's just we're being convinced that we are. See, scarcity is something that keeps people obedient, keeps people grading and grateful. People grateful for the crumbs. That's why they'll say, you think you got it bad here in America? How about you go over to XYZ country? How about you go back to Africa? Or how about we're in the wealthiest land in the world. We're in a country that was built on the backs of free labor. We're in a country that has plenty, and the profits are enormous, and people are spending and buying people and literally buying people. See, this keeps people fighting each other instead of questioning the system, because when you start questioning the system, they'll throw religion in there with it. They'll throw in some pseudoscience. There's so many different things that the more money you have, especially at the multi-billion-dollar level, that you get to manipulate markets. And it's not because you need more, but it's standard practices. It's because you can. See, ego ego at scale, when you have it, ego at scale becomes the empire. It's the thing that it's forever feeding in itself. And when you have something like that, you have to have subjects, you have to have people. Is this making sense? Is this making sense? If it's making sense, I want y'all to put that in there if you're tracking with me. This is making sense. And I'm sorry, I will back to look at my. I'm sorry. I have to because I have my notes here. Like Bishop used to have his notes, but I was the one. It's all good. Here's the thing. I want you to know, you are not a machine. When people try to say you're a computer, we're like computers. We, human beings, created the computer. You're not a computer. Your body is hardware, biological hardware. Consciousness just is. Consciousness is not in the brain. I want y'all to hear me out. Consciousness is not in the brain. The brain is nothing but an organ, a mass, a 6-pound mass of fat with bodily chemicals that have energy. And it's, I would say, is kind of like an antenna, but the whole body's the antenna. So the brain and the heart they're like antennas. But we can't pinpoint consciousness and say consciousness is here or here. We understand the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex, and we understand that those things have synapses and the neurology and what is it, the neurological system, right? Is my hand is moving because it's triggering in my brain and here to move. And my brain is part of that process, but my hand is part of that process, right? The brain can tell the hand what to do, but if the hand has a mind of its own and it says, you know what? I'm not going to work because I'm asleep. The brain can be like, hey, you need to be working. You need to be working. And your hand is asleep. That's the worst feeling ever. When I was younger, I used to fall asleep on my hand, and my neurological system or blood, when it would flow, and I would fall asleep on my hand, and I would wake up with the most weirdest feeling of a dead hand. And it would just be flopping, and but it would mess with your whole body. Hell, you know what I mean? And you just have to move it. That doesn't happen to me as much or really at all anymore. Change my bed, so on and so forth, right? But I'm here to tell you that the program that's inside of us and some of the program that's in the cells, also the cellular structure of the body, the nose, and it's programmed to say brown eyes, right? The melanin of the skin. This is like the DNA that we have is all the same, but it's the 0.1% of that DNA that is like male, right? This tall, this. That's the only little piece that makes us different. And that's the biggest highlight that we have amongst each other. That's the highlight that has been used over the course of time and history, still used, but they want you, and the system wants you to believe that it is a thing that is a thing that is not a thing. But we're making it a thing, and therefore we need to get rid of the thing, because when we say we don't want one group of people to actually excel, it's actually pushing another group of people down. And it's absolutely, totally wrong, but it's easy to convince a mass group of people when you can use tactics such as psychology, neuropsychology, and you can use the programming of the mind. Religion is so deeply programmed within human consciousness or human awareness, not even consciousness. It's more of deeply programmed into those individual people that what happens is you say a few things and they'll just go to believe it. And most people don't have any idea of what is and what isn't when it comes to scripture. And I'm not talking about proving the scripture. I'm talking about who wrote it and why did they write it? Why did King James do this and the Council of Nicaea and all these different things? How do we get to this moment? They don't want to know, because when you start knowing that, you are not a machine. You've been told that you're like a computer. But when you understand this, understand that saying you are replaceable. That's saying that you are predictable. We can get into a talk about how they want to use AI to predict whether a person is going to commit a crime using technology. Like that technology can't be wrong. I'm here to tell you that our biology and our makeup doesn't agree that we are computers. Have you ever noticed how you can get uncomfortable when something looks human but feels off? Earlier, I was talking about sycophancy, and that is something you can look up, but it's related to how when you type into AI, all of who's typed into AI, and why the AI always will come back with saying, yes, oh, okay, oh, it will tell you a wonderful, beautiful answer. And some answers, I use it to correct and take all of my words and to structure. But I still know what I want to deliver and what I want to do. I still know that it is a system, right? Most people don't know that. Most people don't know that these things are able to create something, but you have to be the one that comes back to say, that's creative. It can't tell you if it could say, hey, this is creative. It can give you a mathematical equation and say, hey, since all these humans have told me that this and this and this and this is creative, it can actually formulate what humans said, but it's not doing it on its own. It's doing it from what humans have told it. So there's another thing. It's called uncanny valley. UNCANNY valley. VALLEY. Uncanny valley. That is when you see something that's AI and it's pictures of people and they're getting better, but for some reason the people feel off. They feel something that feels off about it. Usually sometimes you'll see 5 or 6 fingers, but there's still something that can feel off about graphics. It's kind of edge and it's kind of, there's something and more. Some people notice it than other people. It's kind of like a tryptophancy or whatever, which is when you have holes and people don't like holes, or you see a lot of bumps or something on a hand, and it's like something that messes with your brain. That's something that AI pushes whenever it doesn't necessarily can't be human. See, that's your consciousness that knows the difference between imitation and the essence of what is real. Although there's a lot out there that we would be like, man, that looks so real. But then again, there's something about us that we will question. See, a machine can reflect consciousness, but it can't create consciousness. We can't create consciousness. This video that I was listening to with Mr. Federico Fagan, he said we're trying to use mathematics to figure out consciousness when it was consciousness that gave you mathematics. How is it that the creator, the thing that was created, and you want to reverse engineer, and that's not even reverse engineering. It was consciousness that gave us mathematics. not mathematics gave us consciousness. So what he's saying is you're not going to be able to use our mathematics to figure out something beyond math. Physics is a form of math. We can use this to actually do calculations to formulate what we call is material science. But the dogma within that is it has to be measured and proven. And if you can't measure or prove it, then it's not true. That's why we move into what we call is the meta physics beyond the physics. This is something that when we look at the scripture and when we look at some of the things that were formulated and created in scripture and beyond scripture, you know, all the stories of Jesus or the stories that were similar, very similar stories to the life of Christ, Hermetes and Krishna, these stories happened before and they're identical, but we don't want to get there. We don't want to embrace that because it hasn't been, this other message has been sold to us for quite a long time and it has a lot of backing. You have to understand deconstructing belief, religion versus deconstructing what you have been told about your reality, about who you are. I'm here to tell you, you are not a computer. So you are a conscious being navigating through layers of programming. That's what we're deconstructing. That's the religious programming. That's the cultural programming. That's the trauma programming. And now we got the digital programming. See, all this says, see, we're going to we're talking about therapy. We're needing some levels of therapy, but that therapy and that the trauma that we may experience, that therapy, the trauma that we may experience in our life and the therapy that we're using doesn't always mean that this therapy, something that's therapeutic, which is the clinical psychology, is basically saying we're going to use behavioral psychology, which is how did we arrive here? How did this person arrive here? Based on their behaviors, we are behavior beings, and how can we averse or how can we help this person realize or see? How can we help their brain tap in? There's hypnotherapy, there's EMDR, there is a lot of therapies that basically you're going to go through a process to not necessarily erase or remove, but you're going to go through a process that's going to bring more awareness to it. But I'm here to tell you that you can pop through health and diet, through the correct meditation practices, not any of them. You can do any of them, and a lot of them are beneficial, but we're dialing in and we're getting more understanding between the breath and meditation and other things that you can do that actually help you realize or understanding the religious program, the cultural program, the trauma programming, and what you can do in order to begin to recognize and pull that out of the subconscious mind. Most people have never had an original thought, right? People can have triggered thoughts, right? Something that triggers you. You can have a conditional thought. What I have given you is some suggested thought. But here, this is why your reality has to shift, okay? Because a lot of the thoughts you are thinking are not yours. A lot of the thoughts that we think are ours, most of them are not. And we all go through it. See, when we start using the buzzwords and the people would say the new age words like shadow work, there's nothing new about that. By the way, Bishop used to talk about there's nothing new about this age, new about that old age, right? But that some of the buzzwords and things we use, we can kind of work science and we can work metaphysics, which is the spiritual side of science, if you will, to a degree. We can use that, right, to give us and to actually be able to work through our deconstructing process. But really, ultimately, we're not deconstructing. We're really reprogramming. Realize the program, rewrite the code. What is the code? Those are things that I'm working on for 2026. The code. Programmers know a language, various languages depending on that programmer. And if you learn that language and that programming, you can write code, and that code then will give you a specific result. When you go to the doctor, when you go to a surgeon, and better analogy, if a person wants to get a new heart, the doctor can know the process to take the heart out. Very meticulous, very, very strategic. Going to use saws and knives, use machines, it's a very, very serious surgery, but they've done it enough and they calculated enough that they can do this surgery. But one of the things that they have to give a person whenever they get a different organ is they have to give what they call as anti-rejection drugs. And what that is a heart is programmed. A heart is programmed that is born with an individual with a genetic code that says, I work with this body. And if I take that out and put it into another body, I have to give you anti-rejection drugs, which is basically a chemical biology, chemistry. But I'm going to use this chemical that tells that body, you have this heart, keep this heart, don't reject this heart, but I'm going to have to give you a chemical. And it's going to go in and it's going to trick the 6-pound fat that this heart is acceptable. So the rest of the organs won't reject. It's a new heart. We can go deeper in heart transplant and what it actually has proven over time on what happens to individual people that have had other people's hearts. But I'm here to tell you, we have been manipulating the body and spiritual essences through science, and now they're beginning to merge. Last, I want to tell you and talk to you about what I consider the real awakening. Like I said earlier, I'm going to bring this home to you. Bishop Pearson didn't get exiled or removed or demonized because he denied hell. He got exiled because he stepped out of the script. The script said, this is here, and this is here. So the minute that he stopped participating in the system, as it was handed to him. And the moment that everybody stopped playing their assigned roles, that's when the system responds being attacked. Because it is. So tonight, it's not about fear. It's about awareness. I consider one of the biggest connections that we give word to consciousness as human beings on the most basic level of consciousness is awareness. But consciousness, of course, is beyond awareness. That is just a basic but big explanation to the layperson what consciousness is. Awareness. You cannot expand consciousness while you're protecting the systems and the things that shaped who you are, like your identity. You're not going to awaken while defending an illusion. You're not going to shift reality if we keep clinging to the old programming. So what I want to ask you, what would you like, or what would your life look like if you stopped running the script, or if you begin to even double down in 2026 and not necessarily just look at deconstructing your belief, but everything around you? The label as mama, daddy, the label as daughter, the label as son, or the label as husband, or the label as wife, or the label as black, white. Give some love to my Mexicans, all the people of the world, whatever you are. What if our beliefs just start to fall away? What if? What if our fears begin to lose power? What if we begin to just understand that we're divine and that we are creative and that the world and the universe within us is us, as us, and we can connect to something beyond what anyone has ever heard, said, or believed? And we begin to not just walk in the favor of God, but walk as God. What? Huh? See, that term is more of a superhero is what you're looking for. What systems would you just stop worshiping? Because we can worship other systems beyond church. It is a methodology. No. It is systems that are at play that tell us what we should and shouldn't believe. And these things can be comfortable. See, once your mind shifts, your world shifts with it. That's what is awakening. That is what people that are in the program, running the program, and expecting you to run the program and expecting you to be the program, then they need to be wondering, how in the world did you get so much success? How did you manifest this money? How did you end up doing this? And how did you end up doing that? Because they don't understand what it means to go beyond belief. If this is hitting y'all tonight, if this is hitting you, I want y'all to type in the comments, awake. Woo! Awake. Who's awakening? I'm awakening. Ooh, it is time for us to understand that we are awakening, shifting, becoming. See, if you want to keep going deeper in the real work, not in the fluff, not even in the woo-woo distractions, which I do some woo-woo. I do some woo-woo. Make sure you're a part of the Expanded Consciousness community. I got some things in store for 2026. We're not just deconstructing belief, we're reconstructing a whole new way of being human. We're finding ourselves, becoming ourselves, and letting our hair down to new realities. I want you to take a deep breath, to be at one with who you are in this moment. There's a thing that another methodology and way of healing that I'm hearing about. And it's called having to do a touching your body. Feeling it. Breath work to heal. Take a deep breath in your nose. Feel the air move in your soul. See, we need to awaken, and we are awakened. It's just the convergence. It's the convergence of the spirit and the consciousness and moving us into a whole new space. I'm set tomorrow. This is not the banner, but I don't have it on there, but I will be on Insight Timer tomorrow at 7:30. It's going to be a different topic, but I will be on Insight Timer. Pay attention to see that. I appreciate you and thank you for tapping in and tuning in. And I want to see in the comments with everyone here tonight, if there's any comments or anything that connected with you. John Thomas said, pure human. We have to find out what that means to be pure human. Pure human. It's like, to be human is to be connected to the universe as the universe, at one with the universe. Not just people, because that's, it's in all things that we are made. They say the hydrogen, oxygen, carbon. They can take a star and get the elements of a star. And they have found that we are the elements of a star. You hear me? You are a star. And I'm not talking about just a plain ordinary star as in famous where a lot of people know you on planet Earth. I'm saying you have the elements of science that has created this planet. You are everything that you need. Don't believe any lie that says that you are not. I know. A lot of us are facing various believed circumstances that seem to be real, like a mortgage. But your mortgage technically is only real because the system has created it and said, yeah, you got to do this and you got to pay this and whatever else, or otherwise. I want to go beyond believing that that is something that's holding me back from realizing my true self. That's something in a condition that we have created as humans. We created economy. We have the ability in our world, we have the ability, without a shadow of a doubt, to make it where people can have a home. People can drive roads. And given the work, we can do it. There's enough profits and things that we can have it. But the system has been designed to make us feel like feast and famine. You got to work hard, and you got to do this, and you got to do all that. There's a lot of people that don't have to work hard, and they still have it. It's just the way that the system has been designed that keeps them in their place, or they realize how to manifest something, whether it's good or bad. See, the laws of the universe, when it comes to that, the laws of the universe, it doesn't matter. It measures, listen, manifestation. It measures what you believe about you, what you know about you. So if you believe, or you have the confidence, or you have some kind of level of understanding of, I am $1 million. I am $1 million. I am money. How they talk about the love of money or the good or all evil is in scripture. There's no scripture that says the love of money is good or all evil. You can formulate and you can put scriptures together to assume that. Who told you that you shouldn't love the ability to have this meaningless? We put the meaning to it. It's just paper, but we put meaning to it. It's not the money that we love. We love being able to be supplied with the ability to help others, maybe. We love being able to help ourselves. We love having the ability to, let's say drive a car, or let's say having the ability to come together. Do you love being able to come together? Do you love being able to have a stream like this? Do you love being able to go eat what you want to eat, or maybe eat something eat what you want to eat, right? Do you want to have to go to a trash can and grab scraps? No, you don't, whether people do or not. The question is, do you love to eat what you want to eat? If you love to eat what you want to eat, you can love money and you can love to give it away. There's nothing wrong with that. That is a condition that all of us and a lot of us have been through, that we should hate it. It's okay. If it makes you uncomfortable, good. Because it makes me uncomfortable at times. It has made me uncomfortable to sit there and be like, I love money. And it's not that I love money. I love what I can do with it. Money is just paper. It's an energy. But I love what you can do with it. And it's just the minute that you don't want it, or the minute that it doesn't play that much of a role in your life in terms of, let's say, the scarcity and lack, it could begin to pour in. I was talking to Mr. John Thomas, and I was talking about Amazon, the wife of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, ex-wife, and through the divorce, she was there for the whole time of building Amazon. And so she got $50 billion or so, which essentially is a drop in the bucket. People think it would be a lot, but it's a drop in the bucket from what he's worth. And it's a drop in the bucket from if she gets $50 billion and the interest and the compounded interest that she would gain off of just having that much money, right? She gave $7 billion away this year to primarily HBCUs, I believe. $7 billion. But she'll gain so much interest off of the money that she already has that, and I bet a lot of it is in stock also, but she got a lot of cash. But she'll gain so much interest off of it that you could give away 20 million today and lose 20 million tomorrow, or gain 50 million tomorrow. Compounded interest. You lose $1 billion. If you have $50 billion and you have a couple of billion or 3 or 4 billion in the market, or 10 billion in the market, you can lose 2 billion today and get 5 billion the next. That's how they talk about it. It's hard to even spend that amount of money unless you just went and spent all of it at one time because of the compounded interest. It's an energy. It's a feeling. And I don't want to be around people that have broke mindsets. I don't want to even feed into that. Beyond belief, we don't need to be a spiritual consciousness community and everybody sitting around here busted. That don't make any sense. I'm not building a busted ass church. Sorry. That's stupid. That's dumb. That's not necessarily understanding who we are. We can use these technologies like I'm using this, and we can use these things as we're still worried about. We're dealing with trauma. That's another thing. I'm telling you, get off the porch. We're dealing with the traumas that the systems have created, and they want to create more trauma for us so that we could be locked into scarcity, and we can be locked into all the issues that we're having. We could be locked in the systems that they have right now. When you think about social media, people being addicted, can't get off of it. Do you think that the system doesn't want you addicted so that they can feed you more ads? They could feed you more propaganda. They could feed you more stuff. It's time that we think about doing a digital sabbatical or a digital fasting. Talk about fasting the body. Yeah, we might need to do a digital fast so we can learn how to rewire our brain, rewire our mind. There's some more neuropsychology and neuroscience that I'm getting into, dealing with default mode network, dealing with the executive function. A lot of people with ADHD deal with the executive function, right? And how to reset your mind, how to reset your physical brain, right? How to reset the brain A lot of times our trauma and everything we're going through has to do with the fact that we're overloaded from overthinking, over-consuming, and the people and the systems are over-delivering, because if they bog you down, all of a sudden you're more susceptible to the issues that are out there. Do you know that China, Russia, and all the countries that understand about that run the countries, one thing they understand about America is they understand in America that we have these systems. Governments understand that we have these systems. And they're creating chaos. You hear me? They're creating chaos. So if you believe or dislike Trump, they'll create some content that aligns with what you don't like about Trump, and they'll feed it to you. In the MAGA movement, they understand that it's one of the most powerful movements when it comes to selling items and selling information. It has been shown and proven that Nigeria, I think, and maybe another country, not an African country, but they are they have on X, they have the largest MAGA. A couple of people that they have known, they have discovered that there's people in other countries that have the largest MAGA following. You're talking about beyond belief. You're talking about deconstructing. People in other countries are creating things like MAGA movements and saying, I'm going to copy all that content that these people like, build it up to 100,000 or 1 million or 5 million users, and I'm going to sell the bullshit back to them because I can profit. All this rah-rah and a lot of the people are doing in these movements are being played by the very people that they can't stand. Awaken. You don't have to own your trauma. You don't have to own it. You don't have to own your trauma. You could deprogram and reprogram by monitoring what you're listening to, watering what you're doing, taking your health serious, and doing the things that are necessary. Doing the things that are necessary to realign your mind and body with the divine self, the divine authentic self. Who wants to align themselves with the divine authentic self? Because you're already on your way. You've already started. You've started by just being here and hearing this conversation. It's what I spend my life doing, and I will spend my life doing. I got papers and I got notebooks. There's a book. There's documents. This book is Beyond Belief, Deconstructing Reality and Examining Beyond Beliefs. That's working chapter 1. Look at this. This is just notes and notes and notes, right? Going in and in and in. You're the observer. You're the observed observer. What I mean by that? There's a really interesting analogy. I heard it with some dear friends of our special friend Deidre, and it was really interesting. They were talking about hearing a tree. If a tree falls down in the woods, did it make a sound? And most of us want to say yes, it did. See, when we result, and we only can result to kind of understanding things from a practical level, it does make sense. Because what happens is when we think about a tree falling down in the woods, we're always going to be thinking about it as an observer. See, this is quantum speak. This is quantum. We're dealing with the quantum mechanics, right? And we're dealing with, when we start dealing with the quantum realm, and when we start dealing with quantum sciences, it gets more mystical. It gets more metaphysical. Although there's some ways to calculate it. If a tree falls down in the woods, it has to have an observer in order for you to know it has a sound. The only way that a tree makes a sound in the woods, we can't even say that the tree even exists until it's observed. And then it formulates. Technically, when you get in a car and you drive a car, from a high spiritual, metaphysical, from a more quantum space, which can be more metaphysical, when you get in a car and you drive a car down the street, life is being rendered down through consciousness by us. And then we create things as this render. Here's what I'm saying. The road just didn't appear. It was dirt. It was nothing. And then we had a vision to render out and see a road before a road was created. And then we created that road and brought it into the physical and created that road. So I physically am rendering, I'm physically aware that there's a road out there. And when I go outside, the road will be there. But the only reason why that road is there is because I am the conscious thinker and I am the observer observing. I know it's deep. I'm sorry. I know it's deep. I'm going to stop. Yeah, I know that's deep. Yes, that means now we're getting into superposition and we're getting into understanding that we create our realities and we can shift realities. The same successful you exists now, essentially in this, another form of this reality. It's kind of like if you wanted to bake a cake and that cake is here, but you want to render that down. So you begin to manifest in a way what it's going to take to make that cake. And you go and you process that and you go through space and time, using space and time to grab these ingredients, put them in there, and then boom, you have a cake. You made that cake, but you were able to render that down through the process of doop, 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 doop. Here we go. We got a cake. It's how we have vision to fly and we haven't flown. It's only been 120 years since somebody said, we can fly. And somebody said, are you crazy? If it's only been 120 years since we have flown, can you imagine we're having arguments about scripture that was 2,500 years ago? They would be, if the brains of the people of those paths, which would be blown out of the water and break down whenever they looked at our physical life. You would have people from 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, if they seen our life today, there's a big chunk of those people, 500 years, 1,000 years. But if we go back to the eras of Jesus, like 2,500 years ago, and you bring those people to this day, they would think we were some freaking fools worried about these scriptures when somehow you guys got lights and somehow you guys got hunks of material, because there's no metal like we have formulating steel the way you can formulate steel, and swords. But how is it that you can get this and you fly in the air and then you can go to they would be so confused with just that. And y'all talking about, yeah, we could do some miracles, we could do some things. We've seen some superhero stuff, but this is different. Realize and understand who you are. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Much love. There is, once again, don't forget the Patreon. Don't forget to come through tomorrow at 7:30 on Insight Timer. Make sure you download Insight Timer. Hit me up. See me on Insight Timer. If you want to do the Cash App, you want to do the whatever, there's the Cash App. Everything you guys do is a blessing, and I appreciate it. It's not, you're not forced, but everyone that has donated, I appreciate it. You helped me pay my mortgage last month. Pay for the software. It's the energy, it's money, but I still want to honor you and honor it, right? And as we have gotten energy and we feed off of each other's energy, right? The plant person that plant those plants use energy, people that are working in restaurants and people that are working in grocery stores we're taking from them, energy from them, right? And I appreciate, and one of the things is having gratitude and appreciating each other. Go to Patreon. I'm working on some things. I promise you, I hope and I believe and trust that you guys have, we had a really great time. Everybody, let's see. Was that never say that you are sorry again? I was like, oh, okay. Thank you, Miss Velma. Miss Velma has been there since the beginning when I was on Bishop's channel. You are a wonderful soul. I don't know if y'all seen this on Facebook, but Stana has, I love it. Sounds is something that exists within our five senses. It defines scientific, observable, and therefore perceivable difference between being and amongst us all that will ever be made to be. Right. That's the five senses. But if we move beyond the five senses, there is a calculation they have so far that we have about 33 senses. It's just when we start looking at measurable things that are measurable, that's science. And then when we start moving beyond that, and now we're getting closer to understanding, like, wow, if who we are as people, what we are capable of, oh my goodness, man, if we can understand. Oh yeah, I like that, Miss Velma. She said Reverend Ike told us that I am money in 1960. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Ms. Dolores says, I am writing the book From Baptist to Buddhist and Beyond. I love that. Come on. I think that's powerful, Miss Dolores. And look, Miss Tia was I love it, Tia. She said shift. It's within energy. Come on, Tia. There's something about when you type things out, right, and declaring things. I love it. I love here. We got some awakes in here. Let's go. Of course, we got the fam is coming with it. You guys, let's go. I love it. I have to make sure I go through some of the comments. I love reading the comments, seeing the comments. The one of the last things that I said earlier, and I want to say it again. 47% of the people on YouTube do not subscribe. 47% do not subscribe. So if you do me a favor, it will help me out. It will help out where I'm at within it. And not that you have to. It's just something that a lot of people are not aware of. That you can subscribe and it will just help my push. But really, it's why not subscribe when you're already watching it? You know? I appreciate y'all. All minds are clear. Make sure once again that you are on Insight Timer. Last week I was on Insight Timer. There was over 100 people. Time before that, over 100 people. There's been probably over 1,000 people that have come to listen to my talks and listen to meditations on Insight Timer. I love that community. Some of that community may be on here now. So I love you guys. We're going to close out. We're going to close out with one of these songs. How about that? What is this song? We're going to close out with this. We want to close out with this. What do you believe? Why do you believe it? If you're still hanging in, I appreciate you. Still hang in for this last moment. Getting close, y'all. It's getting close. I no longer believe what I know. Lay down the love is the answer. Thank you, sir. Dion, Mr. Loris, Mother Gwen. Any more out there? Any more?
Lift your hands, lift your heart. It's been yours from the start. Oh, it's healing, healing from within.
I no longer believe what I know. I'm living my life, learning to let go. Lay down the guilt. Lay down the fear. Love is the answer. Love will win. Just let love in. Listen. No more chains. No more sorrow. Hope is rising. Let the past be washed away. We are young. We're loved. We're brave. I no longer believe what I know. What I know.
I no longer believe What I know, I'm living my life, learning to let
Come on, y'all.
go,
Lay down the guilt. Lay down the fear. Love is the answer. Love will win. Just let love in.
Love will win. Love is the answer. We'll know it in the end.
You guys, I love y'all. And we'll see you.
Miracles come knocking like a quiet melody. You got to let them in to set your spirit free. The universe is humming a tune you can't ignore. So open up your heart, there's always something more. Oh, miracles, oh, magic, they dance up in the sky. Believe them with your soul and watch the reasons why. Manifest your wonder, let the journey start. Miracles like rivers, they flow into your heart. They say the world is wild, an untamed mystery. But if you close your eyes, belief is the key. Glimmering in darkness like whispers in the rain. Miracles will guide you through the joy and through the pain. Oh, miracles, oh, magic, they dance up in the sky. Believe them with your soul and watch the reasons why. Manifest your wonder, let the journey start. Miracles like rivers, they flow into your heart. They say the world is wild and untamed mystery. But if you close your eyes, belief is the key. Glimmering in darkness like whispers in the rain. Miracles will guide you through the joy and through the pain. Shy away if you want, kid, be afraid if you dare. But this life's no performance, no need for a snare. They'll judge you, they'll doubt you, but don't lose your flame. Miracles are waiting, just call them by name. Oh, miracles, oh, magic, they dance up in the sky. But in the sky, believe them with your soul and watch the reasons why. Watch the reasons why.